we place you on the highest place. For you are the great high priest. We place you high, high above all else. And we come to you to worship at your feet. We place you on the highest place. For you are the great high priest. We place you high, high above all else. And we come to you to worship at your feet. God is revealing His Son in me, and the Spirit of life has set my soul free. His word is becoming a reality, for God is revealing His Son in me. When the waters are troubled, He makes a way. His word is a bridge to the kingdom's new day. He's broken my bondage and my spirit's free, for God is revealing His Son in me. Becoming expression of God's holy word, becoming expression of Jesus, my Lord. He came to my vessel and He caused me to see that He delights in expressing His substance through me. Becoming expression, I come to my end. Becoming expression, my spirit now blends. In Him I am swallowed, and now I am free, that a fuller expression may come forth in me. For God is revealing His Son in me, and His Spirit of life has set my soul free. His word is becoming a reality, for God is revealing His Son in me. His word is becoming a reality, temple be filled with his glory. Let his courts be filled with his praise. Let us worship the Lord in the holy of holies till Zion rejoices again. And let his temple be filled with his glory. Let his court be filled with his praise. Let us worship the Lord in the holy of holies till Zion rejoices again. And let his temple be filled with his glory. Let his court be filled with his praise. Let us worship the Lord in the holy of holies till Zion rejoices again. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. Lo, I come. Lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord our God. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. Lo, I come, lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord our God. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. Lo, I come, lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord our God. And I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the
Thank you, Janie. Thank you. Good morning. Let's try this again. Good morning. Okay, now is there? Oh, yeah, we've got audio. It took a while for things to warm up. There we go. Good morning again. Yes. Word of advice. Do not chase an own 32-ounce protein with V8 energy. It does weird things to the body. It's not what the body wants. So it's warm in here. I can't take this thing off. No, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, I'll lower it. I am outnumbered. I'm gonna sweat it out. Let me take a picture of this real quick. One thing I don't. Here we go. How about there? All right. We're on the verge of feedback. Peaking. Maxing out. Well, this morning I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. And I think the Lord was kind of setting me up for this. Whether we get to it this morning or not, I will eventually be in Exodus chapter 15 with what's known as the Song of Moses, the Song of Redemption. Really, in the way I've been seeing it, it's the song of Moses seeing the reality of God, not the reality of God, the risen, exalted Son and his accomplishment. That's pretty much what it is. But before we get there, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. So much so that I only have one page, and it's not even a full page. It's like a third of a page. And the reason why I'm going to shift gears a little bit is because of the Lord. And the reason why I said that I think he was setting me up for this is my last class that I had this past week, and I was even sharing a little bit of this with Noah when he was helping me this past weekend, was that the Lord has a big picture in view. He has an all surpassing, glorious picture, and that is his Son. And this is what the Father has known, has always known, and forever will only know. And that's a good thing as a believer, because we are not known apart from Christ. That's a really good thing, especially for those of us who have a tendency to look at ourselves, whether that be our shortcomings, and more deceitfully, our not shortcomings, where we think we're actually doing better or doing good or doing whatever. Us doing whatever is still not Christ. It's us. And concerning us, it's like all our works, all our efforts, they are, I think in Isaiah, as a filthy rag to the Lord. It's something disgusting to him because it's not life. It's not his Son. My best effort, my best thought is still not Jesus. My best idol, my thought about God, my thought about Jesus, like what God is like, what Jesus is like, is still not Jesus. It's just an idol. And so one of the main things the Lord had me share during my last class was basically he does have this big picture in view. It is his exalted, risen Son. And then for us who are born again, his whole entire body, even as God by his Spirit, knows and searches the hearts of men. We don't even know our own heart. I don't know my own heart. I don't know what it'll take for me, for the Lord to direct the attention of my heart and place it upon Jesus. I don't know what that'll take. And once again, I'll say this. There used to be a time when I thought that my heart was always directed unto Jesus. And every once in a while, something will get my attention, and I turn away from Jesus. Well, that's not the case. We never choose life. We never choose Christ. We never choose God. Just like Adam, he never considered the tree of life. All he could consider was death. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, what he could reason, what he could think about, what he could consider. Let me think about this. And the thought was death, but he called it good. Yeah, I think this is good. Yeah, this is good. Something to be desired. Yeah, this is good. But it's still not life. And that's the only thing. It's just not Christ. That's not to condemn anyone. That's just the way things are. It requires a miracle of God to consider Jesus. For new birth. Even to consider the gospel, even to receive what God has offered in his own mercy, what we have not deserved, what we don't deserve, what we'll never deserve. And also to receive the very knowledge of this, for the believer, to receive the very knowledge of this Christ that we received the moment of new birth. And I can't remember, about a year, 2 years ago, I heard the conversation. It was like I heard the conversation through Kay, but Judith was talking to Kay, and maybe she was on the phone or something, but that's how the conversation went about Jacob, and how, when Jacob's coming back to the land, and it's not Jacob coming back to the land, it's the Lord bringing Jacob back, listen, back to the place of his birth, back to the place of his habitation, back to the place of his citizenship. Because at some point, Jacob exited, left. Now, that's just a testimony. With us as believers, just like Jacob, we are born in the land. We are born in Christ. We are born from above. Above. This birth is of the heavenlies. This birth is of Christ. This birth is Christ himself, born of the Spirit. And just like with the testimony of Noah, once that happens, God closes the door behind us. There is no exit for us. There is no going anywhere else. There is no, like Jacob literally, physically left the land to go to Haran, right? To go backwards. Yeah, Haran. We can't do that. We can't do that. And about a month ago, that's one of the big things that the Lord just kind of hit me with in regard to Stephen declaring the gospel of Christ to all the Jews and the leaders in the Sanhedrin and the high priests, all the fathers who were present. He said that in their hearts, they turned to Egypt. And what struck me so just rock solid is like, they turned. Their hearts were turned in one direction, then their hearts just turned to another direction. But they themselves never left where God had placed them. And we'll see that in Exodus 15. They never left. There's an exit door. There is a closing. There's a finality. You also see that with the Red Sea, right? The Exodus of, the testimony of the Exodus, there it is. You have this Passover lamb who is their salvation. And those who receive, those who by the ability of God were able to hear the gospel, the good news concerning this one expectation, a lamb, a spotless lamb, the Passover, and believed into that Passover, into that lamb. Their salvation was bound up in that lamb. And those who looked at that lamb and said, yes, I believe the gospel, I believe the salvation God is offering is in that one right there, the spotless, precious, perfect lamb, the object of their faith at that time. By a miracle of God, they heard the good news. By a miracle of God, they believed the good news. By a miracle of God, they received the good news, so much so that they ate the Passover, and their salvation was now in them. But their salvation, ultimately, that's just a testimony. Their salvation ultimately is Christ himself. And so with that Passover, the Lord brings an end to the state and condition that their soul was found in. And that state and condition was death. Where Pharaoh, the devil, Satan, was their father, their ruler, their governing head. He called the shots. He had all supreme power and authority for them at that time. Of course, God is the ultimate one in authority, because in the Exodus, he shows that even Pharaoh has no control. Pharaoh submits, bows the knee, and God shows himself as the only one, as supreme ruler. Not even death could keep and hold what God was bringing forth unto life. And so with this Passover, the death of the Passover, you literally have the death of death, the death of the rule and reign of death. That state, that power, that condition that held us all in slavery in the house of bondage in Egypt. One that we were, before being born again, one that we were literally born into. Like we were born dead. Paul said it, a stillbirth, an abortion, born dead. That's what we were. That's what we were in Egypt, having no life whatsoever, birthed into death, birthed into the flesh, until God steps in. See, we didn't even know it. We didn't even know we had no life before Christ. We didn't even know that, we didn't know there was anything else. We didn't know there was another option. Until God, in his mercy, began presenting his good news, his Son, his gospel. And so, once again, those who by the ability of God heard, those who by the ability of God believed, those who by the ability of God received. Do you see it? By God, by God, by God. Not of man, by God. They received God's salvation. They beheld, like with physical, it's in the testimony, with physical eyes, they beheld a physical, spotless, perfect lamb and said, that's my salvation. That's what God has promised. This is what God has provided for my salvation. And they believed it. Just like when Moses raised up the serpent, they were all starting to drop like flies in the wilderness, for being still heart submitted to ignorance, complaining, griping, and complaining. And God says, okay, put this brazen serpent on a pole. But it's not anything new. With now in the wilderness, it's not anything new. God wasn't doing something new. It's like, okay, now this is a situation they're in. All right, Moses, now we have to deal with them with this new situation. No, it wasn't a new thing. It's like, Lord says, okay, just put this brazen serpent on this pole, and just whoever looks to this is their salvation. Jesus later said, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, the pole with the serpent in the wilderness, even so the Son of Man must be lifted up, so whoever looks to him and believes will be saved, will receive God's salvation. And so there's another object of salvation in view. But see, the serpent on the pole was just a testimony of what God had already done by judging the serpent while in Egypt. Remember Pharaoh? Serpent on his head? You look, Google it, search it out on the internet, you'll find a picture. Pharaoh, you'll see like I forgot what they call the thing, but it's like the head golden piece of Pharaoh, and he's got, all of them have a serpent. Well, why? Because in antiquity it represented wisdom. The knowledge of good, the knowledge of evil. But it's still a serpent. God wasn't doing a new thing. God wasn't doing something new to address a new situation. God is showing them in the wilderness, with lifting up the serpent, the bronze serpent on a pole, what he had already done in Egypt. He broke the power, the back, the arm, the might of Egypt with the Passover lamb. All the other judgments, God showing himself almighty and all-powerful, ruler, supreme over everything, death, hell, and the grave. And yet, only one judgment brought them out of Egypt. Only one judgment. All the others were building up. All the others were in preparation for one judgment, the Passover lamb. This is what was their deliverance. This is what was their salvation. This is what, listen, was their resurrection out from the dead. And so, by a miracle of God, they come through the door, this bloody door, which is the cross. They eat this Passover lamb. Their salvation is now in them. Paul later picks it up saying, do you not know that Christ is in you? That was the whole situation. That was like the whole, I can't say problem, issue, whatever, something like that. But with the Corinthian church, it's like, you guys have, it's like, what was that movie? Animal House? Was it? I can't even remember. It was so long ago. I don't even think I watched the movie. But it was like pure chaos house. It's like, all this, why? It looks like this, why? You don't even look like the church of God. Why? Do you not know that Christ is in you? That was the issue. They just didn't know. And ignorance is not a sin. Nope, it is not. But ignorance is not bliss. Is not bliss. Because where there is ignorance, there is still you and I striving, working, laboring to try to attain unto something, to try to get God to attain unto something, because we've not yet seen all that the Son and that the Son alone has accomplished. We've not yet seen this risen Son who is seated upon the throne, who is at rest, just like Solomon, a man of rest, a kingdom of rest, of peace. No more work here. No more work. Nothing to be done. All is accomplished by one perfect, eternal sacrifice. And so, of course, with the end of death, with the death of death, with the end of the rule and reign and the government and the power and the authority of Satan, of death, all that comes to death, all that comes to an end, has to be buried. That is scriptural. Just like Abraham said, let me buy a plot of land to bury my dead out of my sight. That's a scriptural thing, buried out of sight. All right? But there's a finality in that burial. They go through the Red Sea. You know, the same rod, here they are right at the Red Sea. And God specifically, see, God sets all this stuff up. He is ultimate ruler above all. He's in charge. He's not, the world's not spinning out of control. He hadn't fallen off the throne. He is in charge whether we see it, know it, believe it, think it, or not. Whether even we submit to this or not, he's in charge. He arranged all things. I mean, he tells Moses, okay, Moses, what I want you to do, I want you to bring the people, lead them to this place. You know, this beachfront where they are caught between the sea and everything that's behind them, where there is no place to go. There is, according to them, the vernacular, they are caught between a rock and a hard place. Catch 22. You can do nothing. God set this up. God told Moses, now Moses, lead them here. Okay? In our modern day, and who knows, maybe onward, it'll be like, so, like if I was Moses, so you're wanting to lead us to a dead end? Why, yes. But that's what you see, Moses. That's what we see, a dead end, a no going further, a no going to the left and a no going to the right. But in our minds, hey, maybe we can go back, right? Because that's what it was. There was one entrance to this place, one path, and it's like, well, we're not going any further here, but we can always go back. Until God says, because, he's talking to Moses, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart, see? And I'm going to have him bring all of his army barreling down behind you guys. What a great thing, exciting thing faith is. And Moses is like, okay, let's go for it. The body, on the other hand, that didn't see the big picture was like, what are you doing? Because all they could see was Pharaoh's army. All the might, rule, and power of death that held them in bondage, coming back to try to bring them back into that bondage. That's all they could see. Right? They, in fear, crying out to God. It's because there weren't enough graves in Egypt. You brought us out to kill us in the wilderness. No. And so now everybody's crying. The whole body is crying. The whole people of God are crying so much that Moses starts crying. It is. Then you see Moses crying out to God. Oh my gosh, Moses was influenced by everybody like the 10 spies who only saw with their natural eyes when Moses had been seeing the Lord. And yet he himself starts being influenced by the natural eyes. So he starts crying out to God. What's God's response? Why are you crying to me? Come on. Wake up. Wake up, Moses. Shake it off. Here's V8 energy. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. No. The Lord redirects the heart above unto himself. Because all this commotion, all this, here we go, fearfulness is because the object of the heart, or shall I say, the heart has a lesser object in view. Therefore, there's fear. When Christ is in view, that's faith. When the heart is directed unto Christ, by a miracle of God. I can't do this, you can't do this. There's no one special except Jesus. Nobody special except Jesus. God, by his Spirit, directs our heart unto the Son. When this happens, now there's faith, because there is the correct object in view. Faith has an object. That object is the Son of God. And so the Lord begins speaking to Moses. All right, Moses. Well, actually, before that, the Lord who led them, with a cloud by day, pillar by night, he's like leading them. And here's a visual. Here's the Red Sea. I don't know if I should draw this on the board. Here's the Red Sea. Here's all Israel. And here's behind. And here comes the power and authority and armies of Egypt barreling down on them. And some of the movies really portray that well. Oh, they're coming to get us. Take us back. And so there's this cloud that just kind of lifts and comes over and comes in between them. God's still in control. No, you're not taking nobody anywhere. I don't think so. So in Moses crying out to the Lord, what does the Lord say? Lift up the rod, part the waters. Wait, what rod is this? It's the exact same rod that he used to execute judgment in Egypt, right? The rod that the Lord told Moses now throw onto the ground, and that rod became a serpent and ate all the other serpents. Death swallowed up in victory. Christ becoming a curse to end the curse. Yeah. Take that same rod. See, there's nothing in the wilderness, there's nothing new. Nothing new. The only thing new happened with this testimony right here. The only thing new happened with the Exodus. In the wilderness, nothing new. In the wilderness, there's just this testimony of all that God hath done and accomplished, all that God alone could do and could accomplish, because nobody else could accomplish it. For 400 years, nobody could accomplish it until God. So there they are at the Red Sea. The waters part. Take the staff, part the waters. Well, is it Moses? No. Is it the staff? Not really. It's everything is this testimony of Christ. Here's the burial. And in Exodus, it actually talks about it. Look at this. I'll just read it real quick. Exodus 15. Now, it's describing the Red Sea crossing, all right? They had literally just come out from the Red Sea. And here's the song of deliverance. Here's the song of Moses. Here's the song of beholding all that God hath accomplished in the person of his Son, the Lamb, the spotless, perfect Lamb of God. Look at this. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them. Sounds like the Red Sea, right? They sank like lead in the mighty waters. This is all the power and might of Egypt. Who is like, and here we go, the exaltation of the Lord. Who is like you among the gods, O Lord? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in praises, working wonders? Why? They have one in view. The one sole object of faith. And with this one in view, there is a new song. There is a praise unto our God. Verse 12. I mean, this is all the Red Sea. You stretched out your right hand. Listen to this. The earth swallowed them. Whoa, wait, hold on. I thought it was the waters. Yes, the waters came back. But why is the writer talking about the earth swallowed them? And I know that there's some commentators, some say, well, see, this is actually a reference to the rebellion of Korah when the Lord split the ground open and all the rebellious fell into the earth swallowed them. Well, no. Because the big picture is Christ in his death, burial, and resurrection. Yeah, with the waters, yes, all Israel comes through. Remember, all Israel comes through. All those who believed in salvation, right? By a miracle of God. All those who received salvation by a miracle of God. The exact same thing with Noah and the flood. All those who believed the preaching of Noah, a righteous preacher. All those who believed his preaching. All those who received his preaching, which unfortunately was just his household. They came into the ark. And just as they came into the ark, it says, and God closed the door. There's no more going out. That's it. One salvation. God offers one salvation, not many, one salvation. One salvation that in the scriptures is testified time and time and time and time again. But it's one salvation. They come through the Red Sea. And then, guess what? Here comes all of Egypt, all the might and power. I mean, like, I read it, forgive me, I can't remember what verse it is. But it was 600 chosen chariots of Pharaoh. That's just the chariots. No, excuse me. That's just the elite chariots of Pharaoh. Chosen chariots. Just 600 of the best of the best. There were some other chariots as well. Footmen? I don't know. He brought his whole entire army to try to bring Israel back. And see, that's what the body would be seen as, like, oh my gosh, it's all of Egypt coming to get us. What God sees is, no, it's me bearing all of death that I've brought to death. Right? Remember? Abraham, let me buy a piece of land, a plot of land, so that I might bury my dead out of my sight. God burying what he has put away. He put away all at the Passover. That's where he brought everything to an end. He's just burying it now. And so Israel comes out of the Red Sea, and then here comes all Egypt. All Israel sees is, oh no, they're coming too. I say that it's comical to me because that's what I've thought, like, oh no, like the enemy still has power over me. The enemy still has a hold on me. No, I don't think so. I just don't see the big picture. I don't see, listen, the exalted Lord seating upon his throne. my heart, for whatever reason, is still not found in the rest that I have been brought to, in the rest that I have been birthed of, right? Solomon is a man of rest. We have been born, the believer has been born of the resurrection. This is our birth. Our birth is of the resurrection. Our birth isn't of Jesus of Nazareth. No. Born of the resurrection, born of the fullness and increase of the single seed himself, Christ, the glorified Christ. This is our birth. This is what we receive the moment of new birth. That's why, once again, with hearing the conversation between Judith and Kay, it's like that's why when Jacob is brought by God back to the land, he crosses the brook Jabbok. Well, after he crosses the brook Jabbok, but he's wrestling with this angel, right? He's wrestling with the Lord because that's all he does. See, he's wrestling. He's not at rest, right? His heart's trying to do for his own good, right? If I do this and do that, conniver. That's what Jacob is, a conniver. So much so that, hey, he's found in the area where there's other connivers too, like Laban. Hey, by the way, yeah, Jacob, hey, I want to marry your daughter, Rachel, because I love her. Okay, go for it. So how about you work for me 7 years? Yeah, that sounds great. That's a good dowry. What is it, dowry? Something like that? Yeah, that sounds like a good deal. I'll go for it. And to him, it was like no time. But whoa. In the morning, hey, Laban, I think you screwed up. This isn't what I labored for. This isn't the one that I thought I was going to marry. No, well, you see, in our land, we do like you do, Jacob. You kind of mess around, do things, set things in your own order so you can come out ahead. Well, we do too. And you see, because we don't want our oldest daughter to stay without a husband, well, she's yours. Right? Like reap what you sow, whatever. Well, reap what you sow ends when the concept of that person ends. Right? For the born-again believer, reap what you sow. Well, reap what you sow applies to this man right here. My thought, my concept of what I was. When I used to work at Tire Lube Express while going to Bible school, a while ago, there used to be, like, in the bathrooms, this little sign. And it was, I'm assuming it was in all the bathrooms, even the women's bathrooms. But when I'd go to the bathroom, I'd read the sign that says, shoplifting is a crime. And they didn't leave it there. Man cannot just leave it there. They will haunt you the rest of your life. Yes. Here we go. Born dead among the dead. Right? That's Jacob. That's how we roll. That's how Jacob rolls. Right? I kind of orchestrate things so I can come out ahead. I call it the blessing of God. Well, no, Jacob. And pretty soon you find yourself of like unprecious faith. Well, it's not faith at all. Because you're the object in view at that point. You're trying to get ahead. You're trying to, Lord, bless me, bless me, bless me. And that's what he was crying out to the angel. Bless me, bless me, bless me, bless me, bless me, bless me. But because Jacob had been born in the land, it was more of like, bless this, bless this, bless this. Bless this that I think is my life. And the Lord's like, I'm not going to bless that. I can't bless that. I don't bless that. I don't bless conniving. I don't bless manipulating the things and calling it Jesus. I don't bless that. The blessing is one and is unto the firstborn. And Jacob, yeah, I know you try to steal the blessing of the firstborn, right? All for me, 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 me. No, I can't. I don't bless that. I can't bless that. Wrestles with this angel. And that's what it was. Bless me, bless me, bless me. We probably have a bunch of Christian songs with that, or I don't know. I can only imagine. But anyway, but God does not bless ignorance. He doesn't, lest we think this is what it's all about. No. Had God blessed him there, without him beholding his salvation, listen, without him beholding the abundance that he was born into, he would have thought this is still what it's all about, right? Wrestle with God until God says yes. Like we can, uncle, like we can influence God and twist God's arm to get our yes that we want, that'll satisfy our carnal, whatever, desires. I think in the book of James, he says something like, James is pretty rough. He's a rough brother. He tells it like it is. He's like, look, you guys are asking, and you ask amiss so you can spend it on your own earthly passions and desires. It's more like Jesus for this. And God's like, no, I don't think so. But praise God. The Lord steps in the midst of this wrestling. And Jacob beholds the face of God. Peniel. He beholds his birth. He beholds the true firstborn. He beholds the true blessing. He beholds the true object of faith. And it's not him. He calls the name of the place Peniel. For I have seen God, and my life is preserved. My life is preserved intact. Nothing happened to my life. But within that same definition, and what I thought was my life was snatched away, taken away. He begins to walk differently. We know that. His walk is no longer according to his strength, right? No longer according to the arm of the flesh. He doesn't walk like that anymore. He is supported by the strength of another from that moment onward. Crosses the brook Jabbok, which is here's the Jordan, and I use two fingers because I don't know geographically what side you're looking at, but one of these is the brook Jabbok. So in essence, he crosses the Jordan. He crosses the Jordan in a new understanding, in the understanding of the firstborn, in the understanding of the Most High, walking in the knowledge of God, walking in the light of God. Listen, walking in faith. It says, and the sun rose upon him as he crossed the Jordan, the brook Jabbok. The sun rose upon him. So now he meets, right? Now it's like the same situation all over again, the exact same situation that he ran from Esau, his brother, right? Fear is not faith. Fear, and he leaves in his heart. His heart turns because of fear. Now he's found in almost like a 360, and he's back to square one, buddy. Didn't deal with it the first time. We're going to deal with it again. But this time it's different. Before he had not seen the true firstborn, right? The risen Christ. Declared to be the Son of God by the resurrection. Now he has. And so with this encounter with Esau, look, sending all these little presents ahead, but it wasn't a fear at this point. Sending all these presents ahead, look, Esau, this is a gift for you because I wronged you. Please take this as an offering. Of course, he didn't say all these things, but please take this. Esau's like, no, I've got a lot. And I'm just like paraphrasing y'all's conversation. No, I've got a lot of stuff. This is like Esau saying, I've got a lot of stuff. Here's Jacob. No. I know you have a lot of stuff, Esau, but I know that I have all. I lack nothing. Now I know that I have all. Now I know that I lack nothing. All that I had was present the moment I was born in the land. I was lacking nothing the moment I was born in the land. The only difference is I did not see the all that was present. I did not know the all that was present. The Red Sea, right? Everything of Egypt, all the power and might of Egypt comes into the burial, comes into the Red Sea. The Lord tells Moses, Moses, now lift up your rod, bring back the waters of the Red Sea, like bury them. You stretched out your right hand. Wait, I thought this, back to Exodus chapter 15. Remember, this is like the song of Moses, the song of the redeemed. And yet he says, you stretched out your right hand. Moses' heart is directed unto the Lord. He sees the big picture. He sees that he is not the source of their salvation. The Lord is. He says, you stretched out your right hand, and the earth swallowed them. What is brought to an end is buried. A finality. And the Lord tells Moses to tell the children of Israel, because remember, until that point, they're looking and they're thinking, oh my gosh, we're going back to bondage. Like, I thought we beat that thing. Well, you didn't beat anything. God delivered you. You just don't know God's deliverance. God's deliverance is perfect, final. You just haven't seen it yet. And so they're looking at the Egyptian army, and the Lord tells Moses, look, tell the children of Israel, those Egyptians you see today, that power, that might, that held you in the house of bondage, in the house of captivity as slaves, you'll see again no more. Listen to this. Forever. Well, how in the world does that happen? Right? Like, that's great. The testimony is great. But man, in my heart, how in the world does that happen? Stand still and swim. No. No. Excuse me, sorry. I can't swim anyway. I would have lost a long time ago. Bloop, 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 bloop. No, he doesn't say that. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And the salvation of the Lord wasn't the Lord like burying the Egyptians. No, the salvation of the Lord was the Lord himself. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. That's the order. And everything has to follow that order. The waters come back, cover, bury everything of the old. A finality. Egypt does not come out of the burial. The power, the might of the grave, of hell, of Satan, the serpent, does not come out of the burial. It doesn't come. There's a finality to that. A finality. Nope, the waters don't open up again. That's it. Buried out of God's sight. For us who are born again, I used to say, I won't even say what I used to say. It's forever, eternally buried out of God's sight. The thing is, our heart has to come from our sight to God's sight. It's called repentance. Like, turn. Have one thing in view, one thing, the affection upon one thing, to the affection on another thing. That's it. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Remember, with Noah and the flood, the Lord brought them in unto Noah, and he closed the door. That's it. That's final. There's no going back. Jesus is not an exit door. He is not an exit door. According to God, when you receive Christ, now you've begun. There is nothing, according to God, there is nothing before Christ. There's nothing before life. Right? I'll give you this example. Hard to give you an example. I don't know how old I am, but I'm just going to throw a figure out there. I know I'm old. Let's say I'm 50. I have no idea how old I am. But let's say I'm 50 years old, okay? So let's go back 55 years. I didn't exist, correct? That should be correct. Like if I'm 50 years old, you go back 55 years, I didn't exist. Well, before new birth, according to God, his knowing of you begins the moment of new birth. This month shall be your beginning. This is when you begin. The door is closed. There is no exit to what was. Times past, dead among the dead, before Christ, before God and his mercy. There is none of that. Everything begins when the beginning appears. That beginning is Christ. He is our beginning. There's a finality. Jesus is the door unto God, unto all salvation, life, resurrection, peace, love, the kingdom, God, the Father. All these terms, righteousness, holiness, add them all up. Jesus is the door into himself. He's not an exit door. Not an exit door. That's why I love it, the scriptures are so accurate. The testimony is so accurate. The Lord being declared by Stephen, in their hearts, they turned. They didn't leave. They just turned. Because what God has accomplished, no man can undo. No man. A finality comes through the Red Sea, right? Death, burial. What is it, Noah? Death, burial. Thank you. Resurrection. And this is the truth. Right? This is what God knows. So much so, I'm not going to read Exodus 15. It'll probably be next Sunday. But that's Exodus. I will. I'll just read one verse. There's so much there. Exodus 15. This is just verse 13. Remember, this is what Moses is beholding in the face of his salvation, in the face of his redemption. Listen, in the face of his resurrection. This isn't Moses, this is Moses singing unto the Lord. In your loving kindness, you have led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength, the pronouns are there. I was reading, I'll make a quick mention of this. I was reading this commentary, and I never noticed, I've read it, but he said, by the way, the exaltation of the Lord is so prominent. Well, these are my paraphrase, my own words, according to what I read. Like my commentary off of this other commentary. He was like, the declaration of the Lord is so pronounced. The Lord is mentioned more than 45 times, over 45 times in this song alone. And I thought, well, let me go check it out. And I started counting, and I was making my marks wrong, but there are 45, I counted 45 plus times from my marks that were not incorrect. there's 45 plus times that the Lord alone is mentioned. Because it's not our doing, it is his doing. And it's not for the born-again believer. It is not him doing a new thing. It is him making known what his Son has accomplished. What God and God alone hath, I love the King James, hath done. You have led the people whom you have redeemed in your strength. You have guided them. Guided them. He's our guide. Well, guided. We may look at the technicalities of these words, but guided is like a past tense. Guided, and it's rightfully so in the Hebrew. Yeah. You did, listen, it's all, you did this, 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 you did this. The order doesn't change. You stretch, and this is just, well, verse 13. This is just verse 13. In your loving kindness, you have led, you have redeemed, in your strength, you have guided them. The tense is still the same. Nothing has changed. This is all based upon what God and God alone hath done in the accomplishment of his Son. The true Lamb of God is death, burial, and resurrection. You have guided them to your holy habitation. Boom. I fist bumped myself. And yet, for some reason, we, like the children of Israel, we don't see it. We don't see what Moses has beheld when God has said, stand still and see your salvation. Because certainly Moses did indeed stand still and see his salvation. The majority did not. Because then sadly, a few verses later, now you find them crying out to God again, But right here, because it was one sacrifice, one perfect, spotless sacrifice that accomplished all, right? With that testimony, the Passover, they believed in their salvation. They just didn't quite understand the enormity, the greatness of their salvation that they were believing in. Maybe all they saw was getting out of under the thumb of Pharaoh, right? Maybe that's all they saw. Maybe all they saw was, or all they thought was, okay, well, actually, they're still dead among the dead. They're right here. Okay, maybe I'm not going to have these chains anymore, whatever. Maybe I'm not going to be building bricks anymore. Maybe it's something more productive. Maybe I'm not going to be laboring for this one. Maybe I'll be laboring for myself. I don't know what they saw. I don't know what their concept was. Because before you're born again, you don't have the right concept. You don't have the right object in view. God has to present it. This is it. Here comes Moses. Here's the lamb. Here's the lamb. This is it. A perfect, spotless lamb. Oh, okay, all right, this is my salvation. But how did they define salvation? Certainly not as God defines salvation. And then for us, we who are born again, we still have our thought of salvation. Oh, well, our thought isn't God's thought. His thought is higher. Our thought does not attain unto his thought. His thought is higher. Buries it all out of sight. Very few, while in the wilderness, remember, death, burial, resurrection. It picks up in Exodus chapter 19. This is what God knows. This is what God, in the person of his Son, accomplished by one. I'll take our ignorance out of the way. This is just reality. What God's Son alone accomplished in one sacrifice. This is not us. It's not what we do, not what we think. This is what God, in the person of His Son, has accomplished. Perfect sacrifice. One sacrifice. Death, burial, resurrection. Born of the resurrection. Exodus 19. Lord speaking to Moses to tell the children of Israel. This is like 3 months later. Like after they left Egypt. 3 months. Right? 3 months. You saw what I did to the Egyptians, whether it be with the plagues, whether it be with the final judgment of the death of the Passover, or whether it be with the burial, right, at the Red Sea. You saw what I did to the Egyptians. He doesn't leave it there. See, this is Exodus chapter 19. And how that I, there we go, pronoun, I bore you. We don't have, oh yeah, we do have a green. I bore you on eagle's wings unto myself. But they were still in the wilderness. Well, they were still in the wilderness according to what they saw with their natural eyes. Not according to what God saw. You see, the seeing, the sight. My sight, your sight is deceitful. My brain is deceitful. Everything I can figure out is deceitful. Oh, but it sure looks good. It's still not Jesus. Right? Still not Jesus. My sight, our sight is deceitful. Listen, and our sight is not faith. Because faith is sight. Faith has an object. The object of faith is Christ. Now I know in the testimony, even with the Exodus, because the true Lamb of God had not yet come, they had to see a physical lamb. They had to literally see a spotless physical lamb and believe in that testimony unto the day the true Lamb would come. Right? They believed in faith, but faith from afar. Right? Having not seen, they believed in the promise that would come, who certainly did come. All right? But faith has an object. For us who are born again, faith is not natural sight. And just like the children of Israel, while their natural feet were traipsing around a natural desert, bless you, they see lack. Right? They did. One of the first things, there's no water. It says they journeyed 3 days. Or was it the Lord led them? Forgive me. I'd have to look it up real quick. But they journeyed 3 days from the burial, from the Red Sea. They journeyed 3 days, found no water. Oh my gosh, we're going to die of thirst. There they go again. Why? Based upon what we see with our natural eye, there's lack. There's lack here. But according to God, the entirety of the time, because later on he says it, he says it, he declares it in time, but this is just what he knows. Those 40 years that you wandered in the wilderness, you lacked nothing. You just didn't see the abundance of the fullness of the resurrection, of the life, of the fruitfulness of Christ, who is present the entire time. Just like Jacob, right? After seeing the Lord, after the day dawning in his heart, and then him crossing the Jordan, coming from I don't even know where to, my diagram is totally being revamped by the Lord. I'll just put that ignorance over here for right now. It'll change. Jacob, okay? After Jacob coming from his knowledge unto God's knowledge. Remember? Jacob's knowledge is lack. I see lack. I know lack, so I have to work to get, to attain. I have to do something to attain. That's not God's knowledge. Jacob, you were born in full attainment. It's not your accomplishment, it's my son's accomplishment. You've received all. You have all the moment of new birth. You've just not yet seen the all that is present. These 40 years, you have lacked nothing. Nothing. You just looked with your natural eyes, tried to figure it out with your natural brain, and how am I going to make this work? I mean, we all do it. I do it. That's not what God does. God isn't calculating with a calculator, okay, what do I need to do? No. His Son has accomplished all. All. And once again, Jacob, by a miracle of God, sees the face of God. And it's not like, oh, now we're born again believers and we need to go for a name change. No. We don't understand that because that all applies to us. That concept applies to us. No. With God, you see the face of God. You see the glory of God. Guess what? No longer your concept, Jacob, but Israel is present because Israel is the prince. Israel is the heir. Israel is the firstborn. Another way of saying it, not I, but Christ. Yes, all. He walks in that understanding of all. He walks in faith, not his seeing, because his seeing and his knowing is lack. That's why he's always having to fix things. Okay, now if I put these reeds in this little trough of water and then I do this and then, I'm going to get more. Let me just kind of work the system. Why are you working the system, Jacob? Because I think I lack. I think God hasn't provided enough. No. These 40 years, while you were still in your ignorance, you lacked nothing. You just haven't seen the full abundance of all of the wealth of the treasure that fills the heavens that has been present. But that doesn't change what God knows. We come by a miracle of God from our seeing, our knowing, unto God's seeing. Faith. Faith has an object more real than these natural things here, more real than this concrete foundation, more real than what you can see with a natural eye. The object of faith is Christ himself, the Son of the living God. And God, for the believer, is continually working upon the ground of our heart to turn our heart to behold this very one. Peter said it this way. We have the prophets. There's different translations. More sure word of prophecy. The prophets made more sure. Basically saying, I don't have the prophets written down. The Bible, where is it? I'll do a modern day Bible. Sort of. We'll do Old Testament, New Testament. I don't know if y'all caught that or not. All that the prophets spoke, the surety of them, the surety of their words. Christ himself. An expectation until the day dawn, the day star arise in your hearts. God making known his fullness, his Son, his abundance, his all that is present. So, faith. next week we'll see, if the Lord wills. We'll look at some more on Exodus chapter 15, because it's always like that. The Son, in his one perfect sacrifice, has brought so much. And in God offering unto the soul the all that his Son is, we have received so much more than we could possibly ever comprehend, imagine, or think. So there you go. Kind of all out there. Please present it to the Holy Spirit. Let him do in our hearts that which the Lord would desire. Amen.